good morning everyone. So, we are looking into the electric field assisted ultrafiltration problem, and what we did in the last few classes, we got to the theory and we first looked into the various effects of external electric field when it will be applied to an electrolytic solution that will manifest into 4 categories of phenomena. These are known as the electrokinetic effects. These electrokinetic effects are electrophoresis, electroosmosis, sedimentation potential, so on and so forth, and these will have a positive impact on the filtration of charged particles during ultrafiltration or microfiltration. How that will help? It basically, if you have a charged particles, you can make the particle charge as per your wish by fixing your by controlling the operating pH. So, if you apply a suitable external electric field, these particles will be lifted from the membrane surface using the by simply by simply attractive forces. Okay. And then they will move through the electrolytic solution that will gives a complicated phenomena, and it will be coupled with the mass transfer analysis, and it will we have seen in the last class that it will enhance the permeate flux significantly, and that significant enhancement will be in the order of 20%, 30%. That means, if you are talking about a productivity of let us say 100 liter per hour, and if it is increased by 30%, you are talking about 130 liter per hour. So, in a day, so on annual base turnover, it will be definitely a significant amount, and this will be significant as far as the revenue generation is also concerned. Now, we looked into some of the simple examples in the last class. We will continue to look into some more examples in today's class as well. So, I will solve another problem in the class, and in the class I will be solving the gel layer control filtration only, because that is easy to solve. Otherwise, you have to go for the numerical techniques for the solution of the osmotic pressure control filtration. Now, in today's problem, we have a protein solution is stored in a 0.05 molar NaCl solution in NaCl, okay, and it is being ultrafiltration is carried out with a mass transfer coefficient K is 5 into 10 to the minus 5 meter per second. That means, if you know the geometry of the flow geometry, if you know the velocity or the flow rate, you can calculate the basic parameters, and from looking into the Reynolds number, you can select the appropriate Sherwood number relationship, and from there you can calculate the mass transfer coefficient. Now, in this particular problem, I have directly given the value of mass transfer coefficient, okay, and it is gel layer control filtration. Gel layer controlling case, feed concentration is 10 kg per meter cube, gel layer concentration is 400 kg per meter cube, and the charge on protein surface, that is the surface charge, is 10 times E coulomb. E is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb, and it has a radius 5 nanometer. Okay. Again, so we have to find out the permeate flux, and the permeate flux under the external electric field when external electric field is 300 volt per meter. As we have discussed in the last class, although this field strength looks to be very high, 300, 400, 500, in an actual scenario you will be really applying a voltage difference of 1 volt, 1.2 volt, 0.4 volt, something like that. Since the channel height is extremely small in the millimeter, so the volt per meter, the field strength will be having a quite large number. Okay. So, the first thing that you will be getting out of it is, first you calculate the permeate flux without electric field. That will be nothing but J is equal to k ln Cg by C naught, and this k is 5 into 10 to the minus 5 and ln is 400 by 10. So, this turns out to be 18.44 into 10 to the minus 5 meter cube per meter square second. Okay. And in the next case, when you are applying the external electric field, you calculate the value of d by length square, d by length. So, kappa square is 2000, Avogadro number, molar concentration E square divided by epsilon kBt, and you know values of all parameters. Avogadro number is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Molar concentration is, in this particular problem, it is 0.05 molar, and E is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. Epsilon is 80 into 8.85 into 10 to the minus 12 SI unit, and Kb, the Boltzmann constant, is 1.38 into 10 to the minus 23 joule per Kelvin, and temperature we take room temperature 300 Kelvin, that is 27 degrees centigrade. Now, if you put all these values in the formula of kappa square and then you calculate the kappa inverse, it turns out to be, this kappa turns out to be 7.25 into 10 to the power 8 meter inverse. So, kappa inverse will give you the value of d by length. Okay. Now, you have to find out the, in order to get the electrophoretic velocity, you require to find out the electrophoretic, the surface potential or the zeta potential, and since the surface charge is known, the zeta potential will be calculated using that. Okay. If you remember, the definition of zeta potential is q on the surface divided by 4 pi epsilon a into 1 plus kappa a. Okay. If it is a stationary particle, stationary sphere, the surface charge will be q by 4 pi epsilon a, but as we have said that the counter ions will form an envelope about the charged sphere, and that envelope will be having an infinite viscosity. That means, it will be attached to the surface of the charged particles, charged sphere, and along with it, it will move in the electrolytic solution. So, therefore, in that Stern layer, that particular envelope is known as the Stern layer. In that Stern layer, it is basically rich by the counter ions. So, overall surface charge will be reduced. So, you will be having plus 10 E. So, suppose in the Stern layer you will be having around minus 3 charge entrapped. So, it will be the effective surface charge will be 7 E. So, that is reflected by this factor 1 plus kappa A. Okay. So, the this will be giving you the effect of electrolyte concentration within the electric double layer, maldistribution of the charges within the electric double layer, that is the effect of it, effect of electric double layer or EDL. So, if you use this formula, we have already found out kappa, and this, and if you put the values, this becomes 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 times 10 E, right. Then you just put all the values 4 pi epsilon a 1 plus kappa a. I am not putting the values, it turns out to be 7.78 millivolt. Okay. And you can calculate VE using the Helmholtz-Molotowsky equation. This turns out to be epsilon zeta divided by mu times E, and if you put all the values, it, and E is the 300 volts per meter, that is the external electric field strength, and it turns out to be 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter per second. Okay. Now, you can add the two fluxes and one can get the estimation of the permeate flux in this particular case. In this particular case, it will be J k ln Cg by C naught plus V times E, and it turns out to be 1.86 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter cube per meter square second. So, compared to the last problem, Easter's problem, we have there is not significant enhancement of the permeate flux in this particular problem. That is because of the values of the parameters that we have selected. Now, in the last Easter's problem, we have seen there is an improvement of 20% of flux, but as we have discussed in the last class, I would like to emphasize that if you keep on increasing the electric field strength, you may not be getting the permeate flux enhancement to infinite amount, simply because beyond a particular point of external electric field strength, the electrolytic solution will start dissociated. That means, electrolysis will occur at both the electrodes. So, in that case, there will be formation of the gases, and these gases will be entering into the membrane pores, and also in the fluid, and it becomes a two-phase fluid, and the whole thing becomes malperform, and it will the performance will deteriorate, and you will be getting a decrease in permeate flux in that particular case. Now, up to what point, up to what extent of electric field strength you can go, that will be entirely depending upon the strength of the electrolytic solution. If you work with a very high electrolytic concentration, for example 1 molar or so, you may not go up to a very high electric field strength. For 0.15 molar, 0.05 molar, 0.1 molar, you can go up to 400 volts per meter, 600 volts per meter, in that order of magnitude, okay? Not more than that. Okay, let us move on to the next problem. The next problem is quite interesting. It is a it is a positively charged spherical particle of mass m is placed at the bottom of a tall vertical tank. Okay. It is so we placed a positively charged sphere of mass m at the bottom of a tall vertical tank, and tank is filled up with 10 to the power minus 4 molar NaCl solution. Okay. The particle radius is given as particle radius r, it is given as 100 angstrom. Density of the particle it is given as 2000 kg per meter cube, and let us take the water density as 1000 kg per meter cube. Raw water is 1000 kg per meter cube. Okay. And suitable electric field, a suitable electric field is applied between the top and bottom of the vessel. So, in this what is the effect? The effect is the particle is attracted and moves towards the top plate. Okay. And the zeta potential is measured measured, and this is the value is zeta MV, okay, that millivolt. Okay. So, basically I will be solving this problem with symbols. So, whenever the values are supplied, you can put the values and can get the numbers. Now, the questions are, you find the minimum field strength so that the particle is lifted up. The particle will not always, because particle density is higher, it is 2000 kg per meter cube, it will be sitting at the bottom of the tank. Now, you have to apply a minimum electric field, so the particle will be lifted up. So, you have to find out that minimum electric field strength. Find minimum field strength E so that the particle is lifted up. Now, if you apply a field strength twice of minimum, if you apply E such that E is twice of E minimum, then obtain expression of velocity as a function of time. Okay, you obtain the expression of velocity as a function of time. Now, third question is, this is an interesting problem. Third question is, in 2, that means in part 2, will the particle attain a terminal velocity? If yes, what is the expression of terminal velocity? Okay. So, this is so basically we have kept a positively charged particle at the bottom of a tank, and we are applying an external electric field. First of all, we have to find out what is the minimum value of the external electric field strength, so that particle will lift it up. And if we apply a field strength which will be, let us say higher than the minimum field, let us say 5 times or 10 times. In this particular problem, we are doing the problem for 2 times. Okay, then what will be how the velocity will vary as a function of time. Okay. If you know the length, if you know the functional variation, you can find out what will be the time taken to reach the top surface, and ultimately it will reach a value of it will reach a terminal velocity, and if so, what is the expression of terminal velocity. So, let us look into the solution. Let us say the minimum value of field strength is E minimum. E min is the minimum value of electric field strength. Then Q surface of the particle can be found out by looking into zeta multiplied by 4 pi epsilon A into 1 plus kappa A. Okay, from this formula we can get the surface charge residing on the particle, because you are measuring the zeta potential. So, zeta value is known to you. Okay, 4 pi or constant, epsilon is constant, it is water. So, A is also given to you, kappa you can calculate, because the sodium chloride, the electrolyte concentration is given and nature of the electrolyte is known. So, you can know the value of kappa the same way we have done earlier, and A is known. So, whole right hand side will be known. So, you can estimate the particle charge, the charge residing on the surface of the particle from this formula. So, this formula gives you surface charge on the spherical particle. Okay. Next, we find out the minimum field strength. Okay. Now, what we do, we draw a free body diagram of the particle, and we look into all the forces that will be being applied on the particle, acting on the particle. So, draw a free body diagram and let us look into what are the different forces that will be acting on it. Number 1 will be the gravity. This is the external force that will be applied on it. Next one will be buoyancy. The buoyant force will be applied on it because of change in the difference in density of the particle and density of the solution. Next will be the upward force will be the electrostatic attractive force Fe, and when it moves there will be a drag force or viscous force or friction force that will be acting in the opposite direction, a viscous or a friction. Okay. So, only there are 4 forces that will be acting on this particle when the particle is in motion. Now, initially the particle was at rest. So, initially when the particle was at rest, when we are going to calculate the minimum field strength, then the particle is not in motion. So, this force does not exist, correct. Only the 3 forces will exist when the particle was at rest. So, now once you identify the forces, you just make a summation of all these forces will be equal to 0 when the particle is at rest. There is no motion, there is no acceleration. So, at rest, particle at rest, summation of all the forces in the y direction will be equal to 0. So, what is Fe? Fe will be nothing but whatever Fy will be Fb plus Fe minus mg is equal to 0, and F electric field will be nothing but mg minus Fb. Okay. So, we calculate the buoyant force. What is the buoyant force? Buoyant force will be the volume of the particle will be m by rho particle, that is the volume. Okay. Same volume will be displaced by the water. So, multiplied by the rho of water, right. So, that will be the mass of water displaced multiplied by g, that will be the buoyant force, that will be acting on the particle. Okay. So, we identify that. So, what is Fe? Now, you are in a position to calculate the value of Fe, that will be mg minus m times rho w divided by rho particle times g. Okay. So, what is Fe in this case? If the Fe will be in this case the charge multiplied by the electric field strength, the minimum value, because it is at rest. So, Q times U minimum will be Fe, right. If you know the electric field strength multiplied by the charge will be giving you the electric force. So, Q times U E minimum will be nothing but mg times 1 minus rho w by rho p. Okay. So, you can find the E minimum is mg 1 minus rho w by rho p, that is the density difference divided by q, and q is known to you in terms of zeta potential as, so 1 minus rho w by rho p divided by zeta times 4 pi epsilon a into 1 plus kappa a. Okay. This is the expression of minimum field strength that is required to set the particle in motion. On the right hand side, mass is known, g is the acceleration due to gravity known, rho w, rho p are all known, zeta is known because it is a measured quantity and is applied, a is particle diameter is known, kappa you can calculate simply because the nature of the electrolyte and electrolyte concentration is given. Now, in part 2, what we are doing, we are applying a field strength which is twice of the minimum value that we are going to have here. So, in part 2, your E is twice of E minimum. Okay. Now, in this case, you will be having all the 4 forces being present in the system because it is in motion. So, m times a, mass times acceleration, will be nothing but Fb, all the upward forces, net upward forces, Fb plus Fe, buoyant force plus electrostatic attractive force, and the opposing forces are mg minus friction force, friction or viscous drag, whatever you call. and F e we know as Q times E, and where E is nothing but 2 E minimum, and friction force or viscous force, viscous drag, if you remember, this will be in the form of 6 pi mu A times V, right. This is the viscous drag for a spherical particle. So, you will be getting m A. So, it will be m times dV dt is equal to m buoyant force m rho w by rho p times g minus m g plus F e. F e will be nothing but Q times E and minus friction force 6 pi mu A V. Okay. So, you just simplify this equation and you will be getting dV dt is equal to rho w by rho p, okay, minus 1 times g plus Q times E minus 6 pi mu A V, and this can be integrated. You just take do the separation of variable dV divided by the whole thing on the left hand side. It will be Q on the right hand side, Q E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g minus 6 pi mu A V is equal to nothing but dt. Okay. Why I have taken a minus here? Because rho particle is always greater than rho water. Okay. So, it will be this term will be positive, rho p minus rho w. So, you have the electricity attractive force and opposing forces over the gravity as well as the friction forces, gravity and bond forces as well as the friction forces. Okay. So, now the things becomes very simple, and you just do a solution integration, and for integration you just do this transformation Q E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g minus 6 pi mu A V is equal to z. So, dV will be nothing but minus dz divided by 6 pi mu times A. So, if you substitute that, you will be getting dz by 6 pi mu A z is equal to dt, and you will be getting dz by z is equal to 6 pi mu A dt. Now, on integration, once you do the integration, you will be getting ln z. So, z will be some constant C1 multiplied by exponential minus 6 pi mu A t. Okay. And put the value of expression of z. So, it is becomes Q times E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g minus 6 pi mu A V is equal to C1 exponential minus 6 pi mu A t. Okay. And this constant of integration will be solved by using the initial condition, and the initial condition was that at time t is equal to 0, my velocity was equal to 0. So, at t is equal to 0, your velocity was equal to 0. Using that, you will be finding out the constant of integration, and this constant of integration, if you really do that, this turns out to be C1 is equal to Q times E minus 1 minus rho w divided by rho p times g. Okay. So, now you will be able to get a neat expression of velocity profile. So, variation of velocity as a function of time, Q E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g minus 6 pi mu A V is equal to bracket Q E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g exponential minus 6 pi mu A t. Okay. And by rearranging, you will be finally getting the expression of V as a function of time. It is Q times E minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g 6 pi mu A 1 minus exponential minus 6 pi mu A t. So, that gives the complete expression of velocity variation as a function of time. Now, on the right hand side everything will be known, because q minimum we have found out from part 1. So, in the E minimum, so in this case it will be E will be twice of that. So, that value will be known. Q we have known from the expression that we have already discussed. All the other parameters are known to you. So, you can find out how velocity is varying as a function of time, and you will see that it will be varying as an exponential term. If you plot v versus t, it will be varying as a function as an exponential term. In fact, if you plot v as a function of time, it will start from 0, because at time t is equal to 0. If you put the whole thing becomes 1. So, 1 minus 1 will be 0. So, at time t is equal to 0, v equal to 0, that is satisfied. It starts from 1, and at time t is equal to infinity, it will be this exponential term will be equal to 0. So, in that case you will be getting a limiting value. So, that is called the terminal velocity. So, as t approaches to infinity, you will be landing up with the terminal velocity. So, if you plot the transient profile of velocity, it will look something like this. And this is the terminal velocity. Okay. Now, so therefore, once we do this thing, next point is very simple. And what is the terminal velocity? Part 3. When t tends to infinity, it becomes the velocity is the terminal velocity, or you can find out from another point of view that at terminal velocity dv dt will be equal to 0. There is no acceleration, it is having a constant velocity. So, dv dt or the acceleration is equal to 0, and under that condition the velocity is in an expression will be replaced by the terminal velocity, right. So, you will be getting 6 pi mu a v terminal is equal to rho w by rho p minus 1 times g plus q e, and expression of terminal velocity becomes 1 over 6 pi mu a to q times e minus 1 minus rho w by rho p times g. In fact, from both the expressions, from either the previous one and this one, this formulation you must be getting the identical expression. Now, everything is known on the right hand side, and you will be able to calculate the terminal velocity in this particular manner. So, why this problem is so important? This problem becomes very important, and I discussed this problem simply because if you know the surface potential by measuring the zeta potential of the charged particles, you can really find out what will be the surface charge residing on the particle. Based on the surface charge, if you apply the external electric field, that will basically dictate or influence the magnitude of the electric force, and based on that whether the particle velocity will be influenced. Okay. The next problem I am going to do, again, that is a filtration problem. In fact, the earlier problem, this problem that we have solved just now, that is not a filtration problem, but that is an interesting problem. Okay. So, the next problem I am going to discuss is the filtration problem. It is a solution of protein, again protein filtration. We have a solution of 0.15 m NaCl. In the solution of 0.15 NaCl, we have kept the protein solution. Okay. Now, this protein solution in 0.15 NaCl is ultra filtered in a rectangular channel. Okay. And the rectangular channel will be having the equivalent diameter 2 millimeter, channel length 50 centimeter, cross flow velocity 0.3 meter per second and diffusivity of the protein is 6 into 10 to the minus 11 meter square per second. Okay. Again the filtration is gel layer control filtration, gel controlling. Okay. And the gel concentration is given, C gel is 300 kg per meter cube, and you must be knowing, if you do not know the gel concentration, how to find out gel concentration. We have discussed this point at length in the earlier classes. If you do not know the gel layer concentration, what you have to do, you have to take various feed concentration of the same solution and run a steady state experiment under the same mass transfer coefficient. Same mass transfer coefficient means same Reynolds number. Same Reynolds number means at the same cross flow velocity or the same stirring speed. Okay. So, then you plot and then you measure the steady state permeate flux at each point of at every feed concentration. That means, if you select 7 feed concentrations, let us say 10 kg per meter cube, 50 kg per meter cube, 100 kg per meter cube, 200 kg per meter cube, then you, for every feed concentration, you conduct a small laboratory scale experiment and measure the steady state flux. Then you plot the steady state flux versus feed concentration in a semi-log plot. The feed concentration will be in the logarithmic and the permeate flux will be in the normal plot coordinate. Then it will be typically a straight line. Then you extrapolate the straight line, and the point it will intersect the x axis, that point will give you the gel layer concentration. So, you need not to look into the literature, or if you do not find out anything, the gel layer concentration you can easily measure. Number 1. Number 2 is that gel layer concentration is typically a function of electrolyte concentration. If you use different types of electrolytes, different concentration of electrolyte, the gel layer concentration will vary. For example, if you have let us talk about the micelles. Micellar solutions are basically charged solution, charged particles, okay, of 5 nanometer diameter typically. Now, if you have copper, this copper will basically copper will be having 2 valence, right. These coppers will be attached on 2 micelles, okay. So that there will be aggregate of micelles. So, gel will form earlier if you increase the copper concentration, copper ion concentration. So, in that case what will happen, the onset of gel will be at a lower concentration, that means onset of gel will be at the lower concentration. In that case, so at a higher copper value, copper concentration, let us say copper chloride, okay, that is the electrolyte you are using. At higher value of it, the gel layer concentration will be lower. So, it will be typically a function of concentration. Therefore, if you have a concentration of let us say 0.5 m NaCl electrolyte concentration, the gel layer concentration is let us say 300 kg per meter cube. But if you use a 0.25 molar NaCl or 0.1 molar NaCl, this gel layer concentration will be different, and in that case you can conduct the experiments keeping the electrolytic concentration constant and can measure the gel layer concentration easily in your laboratory. Okay. Okay. In this particular problem, the protein A has a surface charge Q is equal to 20 E. E is the electronic charge, 1.6 into 10 to the minus 6 minus 19 coulomb, and radius of the protein is 2 nanometer. Let us say we are talking about protein A. Now, first of all we calculate the permeate flux. Okay. Second is, now a suitable external electric field of 400 volts per meter is applied to increase the permeate flux. You apply an external electric field, of strength 400 volt per meter. So, basically you have to again calculate the steady state flux. These are typical problems. The third part is interesting. Now, you use a protein B a protein B of surface charge 30 E, radius 50 angstrom and diffusivity, let us say protein B is having another diffusivity, let us say higher diffusivity, D is 8 into 10 to the power minus 11 meter square per second. So, this is basically protein D, protein B, and using the same filtration cell and same is now filtered. That means the protein B with these properties, they are now being filtered in the same filtration cell. It also forms a gel, and gel concentration of this particular protein is 250 kg per meter cube. Obviously, now the permeate flux will be different. Now, we would like to find out the strength of electrolyte concentration. Find strength of electrolyte concentration, electrolyte NaCl needed to get the same flux of A as in part 2 under the same external electric field. Okay. So, and there are several data are given. Now, Avogadro's constant that we know, the Boltzmann constant, value of epsilon, and solution viscosity is taken as 10 to the minus 3 Pascal second. Now, let us look into the solution. We have 0.15 m NaCl, right. So, kappa inverse is, it turns out to be 7.96 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So, the Debye length is 7.96 angstrom, right. So, you can find out the value of zeta, that is the zeta potential, is a q divided by 4 pi epsilon A into 1 plus kappa A. The surface charge is given, that is 20 times E. So, and A is also given, that is 20 nanometer. So, that is 2 nanometer, right. So, 2 into 10 to the power minus 9. So, you will be having 20 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 divided by 4 pi 80 into 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 into 2 into 10 to the minus 9, 2 nanometer, 1 plus kappa A. So, 2 into 10 to the minus 9 divided by 7.96 into 10 to the minus 10, that is the kappa inverse. So, this turns out to be 51 millivolt. So, the surface potential or the zeta potential of the protein is 51 millivolt. Okay. Now, for electric field strength of 400 volt per meter, the electrophoretic velocity becomes, you use the Smoluchevsky-Helmholtz equation, 80 into 8.85 to 10 to the minus 12 into 0.051 divided by 10 to the power minus 3 into field strength is 400. Okay. So, this becomes zeta times epsilon by mu times E, that is the electrophoretic velocity, that is known as the Helmholtz-Smoluchevsky equation. And if you remember, it occurs when kappa A will be much greater than 1. Under this condition, you are going to use this expression. Okay. So, V electrophoretic velocity, it turns out to be 1.44 into 10 to the power minus 5 meter per second. Okay. Now, we will be in a position to calculate the various quantities. Now, once we get these values, then let us solve the first part. D equivalent is 2 millimeter, 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter. L is 50 centimeter, so 0.5 meter. U naught is 30 centimeter, so 0.3 meter per second. Diffusivity is 6 into 10 to the minus 11 meter square per second. Okay. So, you can calculate the value of Sherwood number. The Reynolds number will be rho u0 dE by mu. In this particular, rho by mu will be 10 to the power 6, u0 is 0.3, D equivalent is 2 into 10 to the minus 3. So, it will be 1000. So, 1000 one point is there. So, 1 0 will be dropped. So, it will be 600, right. So, it is definitely less than 2100 and it is laminar flow. So, we will be using the Sherwood number for the laminar flow profile. So, Sherwood becomes K d by d is equal to 1.85 Reynolds Smith d by L raised to the power 1.3, and if you just simplify this thing, the mass transfer coefficient turns out to be 1.85 into u0 d square divided by d times L raised to the power 1/3. Now, if you put various values, then k turns out to be, so this becomes 1.85 into 0.3 into 36 into 10 to the power minus 22 divided by 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 0.5 raised to the power 1/3, and mass transfer coefficient turns out to be 1.9 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter per second. So, we calculate the mass transfer coefficient. Now, we will be in a position to calculate the various quantities of the permeate flux, so on and so forth. So, therefore, the permeate flux is K ln Cg by C naught, and in this particular case it is the value is basically there is no external electric field. So, there is no electrophoretic velocity. Okay, the first part, if you remember, there is no external electric field. Okay, so, this turns out to be 1.9 into 10 to the power minus 6 ln 300 by 10, and it is 6.46 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter cube per meter square second. Now, we have already calculated the value of electrophoretic velocity, and it was probably in 6.46 into 10 to the minus 6 meter per second, right. So, the total flux under 400 volt per meter under field strength of 400 volt per meter, the permeate flux J is equal to K ln Cg by C naught plus electrophoretic velocity. So, it becomes 1.44 into 10 to the power minus 5 plus 6.46 into 10 to the power minus 6. The VE was 1.44 into 10 to the minus 5, I guess. So, it was 2.09 into 10 to the power minus 5 meter cube per meter square per second. So, in this case, it is basically 21 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter cube per meter square second. Okay. So, 21 and this was around 6.46, so let us say around 7. So, we are going to get about 3 times enhancement of permeate flux in this particular problem, and that will be entirely depending on the situation. Means what is the electrolytic concentration, what is the surface charge on the particle, what is the diameter of the particle, and what is the field strength, so on and so forth. Okay. So, we will be going to get a field strength, going to get a permeate flux enhancement about in the order of 300 times. Okay. 3 times means 300%, is 200%, right. enhancement is 200%, right. Now, let us look into the part 3, that will be pretty interesting. We are talking about protein B. In this problem, Q is given 30 E, right, 30 into 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. Okay. The diameter is given, the radius is given 50 angstrom. So, this is 50 into 10 to the minus 10 meter, okay, and diffusivity is given as 8 into 10 to the minus 11 meter square per second. Okay. The mass transfer coefficient you can calculate, again it will fall into the laminar flow regime, and it becomes 1.85 into 1.85 into Reynolds Smith dE by L raised to the power 1 upon 3. Okay, we are going to use that formula into 64 into 10 to the power minus 22 divided by 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 0.5 raised to the power 1 upon 3, and it turns out to be 2.3 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter per second. Okay. Now, we do not, now in this particular problem actually there are two types of problem. If we would have used the same electrolytic concentration, we could have found out what is the external electric field strength, magnitude of the external electric field strength, so that you will be getting the same flux of part 1, part 2. And if the external field strength is known, you could have found out what is the value of electrolytic concentration that is required to have the same flux in part 2. Now, in this particular solution, what I have done, I have taken the same concentration of the electrolyte, and I have found out what is the required field strength values to get the same flux. Okay. So, there is a slight twist of the statement of the problem in the solution. So, in the solution what we are doing, we are assuming the same electrolytic concentration, but we are going to find out what is the required field strength, so that the same flux will be obtained. So, if that is the case, we will be getting 2.09 into 10 to the power minus 5 is equal to 2.3 into 10 to the power minus 6 ln Cg by C naught 250 by 10 plus epsilon zeta by mu times E. So, this is basically the same flux we are going to get in part 2, and this is the without any field strength K ln Cg by C naught, and this is the VE. Okay. So, everything is known, only is zeta and E are not known. So, in this particular problem, so you will be getting 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 5 is equal to 7.08 into 10 to the power minus 7 zeta times E, and the value of external field strength will be 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 5 divided by 7.08 into 10 to the power minus 7 times zeta, and zeta can be found out from the formula Q divided by 4 pi epsilon A into 1 plus kappa A. And in this particular problem, we assume the same electrolytic concentration. So, it will turn out to be 0.015 volt or 15 millivolt. Now, if you put this value here, the electric field strength turns out to be 1271 volt per meter. So, you require an external electric field strength of around 1270 volt per meter for protein B in order to obtain the same flux as in part 2. Okay. The same problem can be twisted, that for the same electric field, what will be the concentration of electrolyte, so that you will be getting the same flux. Okay. So, we have looked into several problems in external field strength assisted electric ultrafiltration, and we will be going to do a real practical problem in the coming class on this particular topic. Thank you very much.